Mr. Chairman, I'll read the recording of minutes item, and then I would suggest that we then have as the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor aren't here, that we have a resolution to appoint a chairman for the meeting, and then we'll go into the prayer and acknowledgement. Okay. This council meeting is being recorded in accordance with Council's webcasting of Council's meetings policy. The recording will be archived and made available for viewing at any time on Council's YouTube channel for a maximum period of 12 months. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, if you are in attendance in the public gallery, you should be aware that your presence may be recorded. Your continued attendance means that you agree to being recorded and also that you'll abide by the Council's adopted Code of Meeting Practice. The chairperson or general manager have the discretion to interrupt the recording of any meeting at any time should it be deemed necessary. This may occur in circumstances where commentary is considered to be misleading, defamatory or inappropriate to be published, or where behaviour breaches Council's adopted Code of Meeting Practice. Councillors and senior staff are reminded that this meeting is being live streamed, and for the benefit of those viewing online, please ensure you use the microphone when speaking and turn it off when you are finished. Mr. Chair, at this stage, and councillors, as I mentioned, the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor are not in attendance, so the first order of business at a meeting such as this would be to elect a chairperson. So what I would seek is a nomination for the position of chair and then a resolution, a mover and a seconder, to adopt that position. So could I ask for a nomination?
Happy to nominate Councillor Packham for this evening, thank you.
And could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Okay, Councillor West, Councillor Orban. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Okay, Councillor Packham, you've been elected to chair the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. Could I ask all those who are able to stand now for the prayer and acknowledgement of country? Almighty God, give wisdom to those in authority and guide all peoples in the way of righteousness and peace, so that we may all share with justice the resources of the earth, work together in trust and seek the common good. Amen. I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting has been held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people and recognise the strength, resilience and capacity of Aboriginal people in this land. You may all be seated. Okay, 5.1 apologies. General Manager, are there any apologies tonight?
Mr. Chair, I have 4 apologies, these being from Councillor Taylor, Councillor Fry, Councillor Cranston and Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Councillors, can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Orban, Councillor West. And put that to the vote. So all those in favour? Thank you. Item 6.1, confirmation of minutes, policy and committee meeting held on the 1st of October 25. Councillors, could I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Orban. Councillor West. Okay, all those in favour? Thank you. Carried. 7.1, declarations of interest. General Manager, do we have any declarations of interest?
The Chair, I have no declarations of interest.
Do I have a mover and seconder? Thank you. Councillor Gallagher and Councillor West. Oh, those.
Change the name.
Sorry?
Try Underwood.
Underwood. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. 8.1, Director of Cultural and Community Services report. Is there any discussion or declarations of interest on this? Okay. Sorry. Do I have a mover? and a seconder. Councillor Underwood, Councillor Orban, seconder. Councillors, do I have those in favour? Those against? Thank you, carried. And we move to general business. Councillor Orban. Councillor West.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I would like to present a delegate's report to Council. Recently, I, along with Councillors Cranston and Wright and the Mayor, attended the Local Government New South Wales Conference, which is the main event for local government in the state. And it is attended by representatives of nearly every council in New South Wales. I would like to present this short report to the council and to the community on the proceedings. So every year, councillors from around the state send in motions about the issues they are concerned about, and the conference spends a full day debating and voting on those motions. It was a very full day this year, with 134 motions presented for consideration on that one day, and this is the book of motions that we had to read before we went and then sit and vote on. It's mostly taken up with those motions. So those that were passed will now become issues that Local Government New South Wales will lobby the state government for on your behalf, on our behalf and your behalf. The conference also provides workshops and plenary sessions on relevant topics, and there are speakers, which this year were Ron Honig, Minister for Local Government, and the Premier, Chris Minns. I would say, personally, I would say that there were 5 main themes that were apparent throughout the conference. Firstly, the affordable housing crisis. Secondly, the impossibility of financial sustainability of local councils in the face of cost shifting by the state and reduction of funding by federal government. The negative impact on council functioning as a result of Ron Honig's controversial changes to the Code of Meeting Practice. The fourth one is mitigating the effects of renewable energy projects. And the fifth one was dissent to the planning reforms which passed Parliament last month. So on the affordable housing crisis, I want to emphasise that we're not experiencing a housing crisis as such. What is in short supply is affordable and social housing, and that's what the conference focused on. On the first day of the conference, I attended a workshop on affordable housing, contribution schemes for councils. The panel members were Rebecca Pinkston, the CEO of Homes New South Wales, Esther Chong, the Director of Atlas Economics, Brad Bunting, the Mayor of Blacktown, and Jack Dodds, Deputy Mayor of Byron Shire, with a background in urban design and town planning. Rebecca Pinkston's contribution was particularly interesting. She talked about the New South Wales government wanting to work collaboratively with councils. She confirmed that the 24-25 budget was for $6.6 billion to invest in new social and affordable housing across the state. And although much of this was or will be spent in large urban centres, she said she was keen to work with regional councils to provide support and advice on contribution schemes. She strongly advised councils to partner with the not-for-profit community housing sector in order to achieve affordable housing targets. I've actually got more about the other speakers, but I won't go through all of it through a time. But I do want to mention Jack Dodds, who spoke at the end, about homes, how homes had become commodified, creating a very real generation divide. And he spoke passionately about the need to support human flourishing rather than human greed. The second one, the impossibility of financial sustainability of local councils. It was undeniably apparent that all councils have been impacted by cost shifting and the reduction of the FAG by the federal government, not just Bathurst. Of the motions that were voted on by voting delegates at the conference, there were over 20 councils who put in submissions relating to financial sustainability issues, including the need for developer contribution reform and land tax reform. Local Government New South Wales will make submissions to state and federal governments on our behalf, but whether those submissions actually result in any change is unknown. Similar submissions have been made in the past with no discernible change. The negative impact on council functioning as a result of Ron Honig's controversial changes to the Code of Meeting Practice. Ron Honig actually spoke to the conference and took questions afterwards. His speech, I have to say, was uninspiring, and his answers to questions were not very well received. He claimed that his changes were aimed at increasing community trust in local government, but as one delegate responded, it's not the community who doesn't trust local government, it's the minister himself who is showing a lack of trust. There was a general objection to the new model code from a majority of delegates, and this was made very clear to the minister. After the conference, we learned that Greens MP Amanda Conn has tabled a motion of disallowance of the new model code of meeting practice, which is due to be discussed in Parliament in February next year. So although councils are obliged to adopt the changes
Councillor West.
by 1st of January, they may be in a position to adopt a different and more democratic code sometime in February. I'll have to miss the rest, but I will post it, or it will be in the minutes, I think, of the next. Is that right?
Thanks, Councillor
The
West.
minutes will be a very abbreviated version.
Okay.
But if you provide that to me, then I can put it out to councillors on the councillor portal.
Okay, I just got one last thing to say, if I'm allowed, Deputy Mr Mayor. Very quick.
Quick.
Finally, I would recommend that all Bathurst councillors attend this conference at least once during their term, as it is a great learning experience and also a good way to meet councillors from other councils and establish useful connections.
Councillor Gulliver.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a good story. With the proposed new private medical centre, the community are, having good discussions about it and looking forward to something happening. And thank you to the Department of Planning there trying to make it work. Thank you.
Councillor Underwood.
Thank you, Acting Chair. I'd like to speak tonight about members of our community residing at Berry Park and the surrounds around that area. In recent weeks, I have received representations from members of the community regarding council's correspondence and the actions that are proposed to be undertaken in the Berry Park area. It is my understanding that infringement notices have been issued to residents living there, and this has caused real concern among community members. The individuals affected are members of our community, and this situation must be approached as a human rights issue. Any response from council should ensure that people are treated with dignity, respect and care. Since this matter first came to my attention, I have made representations to council and coordinated council attendance at a meeting of the Homelessness Coalition. This was to ensure that all relevant agencies could come together to discuss solutions, share information and identify the supports that may be available. There are community organisations and indeed state government agencies who are willing and able to help, but they will need time, and they will need time to put appropriate measures in place. I understand that these meetings and discussions between stakeholders are continuing, and I welcome this collaborative approach. In that context, I would ask that the Director of Environmental Planning and Building Services might be able to provide an update in regards to the current status of this matter and the next steps that are being taken and the process being followed regarding Council's legislative requirements. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is complicated. So forgive me if I just spend a moment describing some background. And that is that Council's Rangers are dealing with a very complicated situation, and I'm speaking to this because the Rangers are part of the Environment team, which is in the Planning Department. And in some respects, they're meat and a sandwich because Council receives complaints as a result of antisocial behaviour by people camping in that precinct. It goes beyond Berry Park. And the complaints have reached a sort of the situation has escalated over recent months, such that some of that conduct is unacceptable. So there has been some intervention by Rangers in an attempt to regulate some of that behaviour. And the view from the Ranger team, which I support, is that there is conduct there which we would not accept from any other member of the public. and therefore they're placed in a very difficult situation. Because there's a flip side, and that is that the agencies who are working with homeless people in very difficult circumstances, because there's not many other places for people to be accommodated, have approached us, and indeed myself and another member of staff have participated in recent meetings of the coalition that you described, including as recently as this afternoon. And I guess the good news is that there is a preparedness by members of that coalition to seek to help. But it's also complicated because there's no one size fits all. Each person's circumstances are unique, and there needs to be a customised approach, and it needs to be a voluntary engagement. So that's where we stand as of today, and there needs to be some progress made so that the homeless situation can be addressed. And I'm not quite sure where that solution is, to be honest.
Thanks, Director. Look, homelessness is an issue across the country, and I think people need to be treated with compassion, but they also have a responsibility to comply in terms of reasonable behaviour, and it's certainly a complex issue for Council. Councillor Orban.
Thank you, Mayor. I do just have one item that I did want to bring up to the table tonight, to the Director of Environmental and Building Services. Could we get a report to Council on the proposed parking arrangements for our hospital during construction of the additions to the infrastructure? Because I think the public need to know where they're going to be able to park when there's emergency happening or when they want to go and see somebody. And post that, post-construction, have we got any updates on parking arrangements for the hospital? If we could get a report on that.
Thanks, Director.
Thank you. Through you, this too is not an easy one, and there's no quick, simple answer. So again, forgive me if I provide some commentary around what a number of things which are happening, including discussions as recently as yesterday with both the construction contractors representative and a representative from Health Infrastructure. Health Infrastructure are adamant that their commitment to parking is defined by their response to submissions in the Statement of Environmental Effects, and I believe councillors have a copy of that. Health Infrastructure also prepared to make an offer to do works outside that, but it's a very limited offer, and council has not received it in writing, so we're awaiting that before we deal with it any further. In addition to all of that, and so there has been talk about some additional on-street parking, but that's not part of the hospital approval or commitment. So there are external discussions ongoing with a permanent increase to the number of parking spaces on street. In addition, there's the local health district and the health service. So that's not the Health Infrastructure delivering the new building, new works, for a temporary solution on Victoria Park. And there's discussions also occurring as recently as last week with the health service and local health district about a temporary relocation of the hospital fleet vehicles, which would relieve during the early stages of construction where parking spaces are most critical, some spaces, 30 or 35 odd, on the hospital precinct. None of those discussions have been finalised, and so I can't confirm exactly what is being proposed. Then there's what sort of concurrence or approval pathway might be required if there are works to be done.
Thanks, Director. Councillors, I now declare the meeting closed at